Did you know that you can assume someone else's VA home loan? Well, I'm going to talk about the process. I'm going to go over what it means, how it works, why we never really hear about this or why many people can't give a clear answer on it, and the pros and cons of doing this. I hope I'm able to answer all of your questions during this video, but if I don't, please leave a comment below so I can answer the question for you. Because if you have the question, more than likely someone else has it, and I want to be able to give you the proper knowledge about the VA home loan and assuming a VA home loan. So what does it mean to assume a VA loan? It's pretty easy. It's just the way it sounds. What you're doing is you as the buyer, you're going and you're assuming the VA loan with the buyer or the house that you are currently buying. And you're probably wondering, well, why would we do that? The reason is because this house that you're purchasing, that loan, is at like 2.5%. The interest rates are at 6%. So you want to go ahead and take over that loan amount and that interest rate so that you can have a lower interest rate. It's pretty simple. We're getting a lot of calls about this product every week. And the number one thing that I keep hearing is, Robert, I've called other lenders, I've called title escrow, I've called servicing departments, and I can't get clear answers. Why? The reason is since the 1990s, rates have been, well, going down. January of 1990, rates were above 10%, and they were slowly declining all the way up till 2020 when they were down to 2.25%. And I know everyone absolutely loved those rates, but this year, rates have been climbing. Well, people still want those 2.25, 2.5, and 3% interest rates. So people are starting to ask questions on this product. But you have to remember, we went over 30 years of pretty much a decline in interest rates. So you have people who've been in the industry even for 15, 20, 25 years who've never really assumed a VA loan. Also, lenders like us, we actually don't handle, you assuming it. The reason is we're loan originators. So after your loan, so here's the loan originator. After you close on your house, it goes all the way up to the servicing department. So let's give an example. Once the loan closes here, Cross Country Mortgage takes over the loan, correct? That means when you go to assume a loan, it has nothing to do with us whatsoever. You actually have to go and contact the servicing department. And that leads me into, what does the seller need to do to make this happen? So let's say you're a seller. You're selling your house for $600,000. You have a $300,000 loan at about 2.25%. The first thing you need to do is contact the servicer of your loan. The reason you need to contact them is one key part. You need to call and ask them if they're going to allow this process to take place. Of course, I know you're sitting there, you're like, Robert, you're making a video about this, but then you're telling us that they don't do it. The VA allows this, but the VA does not enforce it, which means companies have the discretion to say if they will or will not assume VA home loans. So you need to call them and find out if they're going to do it. The other thing you're going to need to do is let them know that you want to go down this route and tell them who the buyer is and find out what their process is and the paperwork you need and all that type of stuff, because I can't sit here and tell you exactly how the process is going to go, because every company is going to have their own rules and regulations and stuff like that. So you need to find out from that servicing department what you need to get done. Now, what are the pros of doing this? And this is actually going to lead me to the buyer. As a buyer, what's the pro? The pro is, one, way lower interest rates, which means you're saving on your monthly mortgage payment. 2, closing costs are always way cheaper when it comes to just assuming a VA home loan than it is to actually going through an all-out purchase. Number 3, because you're lower interest rate, that means you have long-term savings. You're going to save a lot more money in the long run than you are on a regular purchase. So as a buyer, what do you need to do? You're going to need to contact that servicing department that loan is currently held in. So I gave that example of Cross Country Mortgage. You're going to have to contact Cross Country Mortgage and tell them that you're the buyer and you want to go down this process. Now, who can assume a VA home loan? It can be a veteran, surviving spouse. Matter of fact, it can actually be anyone. Even if you never served a day in the military, you can assume a VA home loan. But be advised, the VA loan has to be connected to someone's VA entitlement. What this means is, if you're a veteran, let's say you're the veteran who's selling the house, if you're giving that to a civilian, your VA entitlement will not be freed up. This is bad in a few ways. One, if you want to go repurchase a home, and let's say 100% of your entitlement is in this house, if you go use your VA loan again, you're going to have to come in with a down payment because you have no entitlement left. You're going to have to come in with your percentage to guarantee the VA, right? Number two, if that person, that civilian, forecloses or short sells or anything like that, that will affect your entitlement. So I would recommend, if you're going to go down this route, to only let another veteran or surviving spouse to assume the VA loan. But also note that when this process is done, the loan will still be on the seller's entitlement. You're going to have to go in, and so is the seller is going to have to go in, and they're going to have to apply through the VA to get that entitlement removed from the seller and then put onto the buyer's entitlement. This is not something that's automatically done like it is when you purchase a home. This is something that you are going to have to do on your own once this process is done. The other thing that you're going to want to do is make sure that you sign a release of liability. So the seller sign a release of liability, because if you don't do that, the mortgage will still be on your credit. So if they foreclose or short sell or anything like that, it will affect your credit. So you're going to have to go in and request from the servicer a release of liability on the property. Now, what are some of the cons to doing this assumption? One, the closing times I've heard can take 90 days up to 6 months. It's a very long and slow process. Two, the lender doesn't have to do it for you. But number three, let's say the loan is $300,000, but the house is valued at $600,000. Well, of course, the seller is going to want their full amount of money. I think the number one issue that we run into, or that I'm seeing and I'm hearing out here in the field, is that majority of the time people don't have that extra $300,000 in cash or whatever the case may be to cover those extra funds, and so the deal dies. Now, there's ways you can get around it. You can, possibly pull out a HELOC or do something like that, pull equity out of another home to get this deal done. But majority of the times it does not work because the veteran or the person assuming the VA loan just does not have the resources to do that. Lastly, there is a VA funding fee tied to assuming a VA home loan. It's 0.5%. Now, this can be in pros, but this can be in cons. The reason I'm saying it can be in pros is because if you do a regular VA purchase and you have no VA disability whatsoever, your funding fee is actually 2.3% on your first VA loan, or 3.6% every time thereafter. So if you're going in and let's say you've already bought multiple houses using the VA loan, and now you're going to go assume another VA loan, your funding fee is only 0.5. That's 3.1% lower than if you did a purchase. Plus then you're saving over 3% monthly on the interest rate. Now, if you have any questions or concerns about using this product or just using your VA loan, altogether, please ask. Please reach out. I actually like it better when you comment below because then other people can see my response. But please, feel free to reach out, ask me any questions you would like.